All right, welcome to the good stuff, the big episode 51.
Yes.
The
50
last
plus one.
ever episode of the good stuff.
Is it?
April Fool.
Oh, there we go.
There you go, I've got somebody.
me.
Of course, that won't work for anybody because we'll release it tomorrow and
Yeah,
it won't be
April Fool's.
It won't be April Fool's, but you know, I was thinking, oh, I can at least get Andy.
Yeah, done. Sorted.
There we go.
Walked right into that one.
Yeah, so I had a couple of comments I was talking to you about
You
earlier
did.
in the week, and I just said, oh, I thought maybe like one phrase we could use would be the parlor trick of AI,
Yes.
and then another one would be like why AI is actually useful.
Mhm.
And then another one is like the end game of where it all goes.
Ooh. Themes for today.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, and straight up front as well, like a professional.
Right in the beginning.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think inspired this was both of us listened to All In over the weekend.
Hate watch.
Hate watch, hate listen, whatever. And they started to talk, and they kind of described the value trap stuff that we did in episode 1.
Yep.
I
A year
think,
ago.
of the
Yeah.
good stuff. Yeah, so literally a year ago. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And as I listened to them try and describe it, like it helped clarify something for me about like the end game of that value trap. So
Yeah.
that's why I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
the end game of like where it all ends up we could get into.
Yeah.
But just before we hit record, I said about the parlor trick of
Yes.
AI.
When I asked you,
And you said, oh, what's that? And I said, let's wait.
Let's hit record.
Okay.
So we didn't do the pod before the pod this week. We're just diving straight in.
No, well, we talked about other stuff.
That's true.
Literally other stuff.
Literally. Yeah. So
Right, sip of coffee.
what is this thing?
So I think the parlor trick of AI is that it appears incredibly useful. And if you remember, we kind of talked about this a little bit on Monday, and I was saying there's this first point where you go from only a human can do this to, oh my god, this AI can do this.
Yeah.
And you go, this is amazingly more efficient. Like, this is the end game. It's not the end game, it's the parlor trick. So that's the framing for us here. And the parlor trick is that this thing it's intelligent enough. It has enough tools,
Yeah.
and it can write enough new tools, and it works at a speed that is so much quicker than you that it can kind of just come up with bullshit hacks and workarounds on the fly so that it appears to be doing the correct thing constantly.
Yep.
And so the idea here is that this is a parlor trick, because what you think is happening is that you're talking to this incredibly like intelligent and this incredibly like sophisticated and competent individual called Robot X. And you're kind of not. And like all you're seeing is like the swan gliding across the top of the water, and output comes. And then it's very confusing like 2 weeks later when that doesn't work. And you're like, why doesn't that work? It could do it before. Why isn't it just doing what it knows how to do? And the answer is it doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It just happened to correctly hack it together in a string of workarounds previously
Yes.
to get the thing done. And so I think what you see is the first step of applying like AI into a business is actually all about, all right, how do I just throw this thing at stuff? And you see people, I just gave it access to all my emails and now I have no emails and it feels great. And then 2 weeks later they post, and now I
Yeah.
sent an email to my boss and called him a cunt. And it's like,
Well, there's the reach on this week's episode just
Sorry.
shattered.
beep.
Yeah.
Or something, and like, or I deleted everything, or I did this thing wrong, or I did this thing right, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's because it never knew. You assumed it knew because you feel like when you deal with people, like you do this thing once, and then there is some memory retained there.
Yeah.
And then we'll gloss this up. It's just a memory problem, and we'll just it's like, it's not really.
Yeah.
It's almost more of like an architecture
Yeah.
and like business architecture problem, because you would have this same problem. I think as you brought up a few pods ago with Deadman here, it's like you don't hire Ralph Wiggum and just let him go ham
Yeah.
on everything in the business, right? You think about where you want to put Ralph and like what you want him to do and what you want him to push on and how much information you want to give him.
Yeah.
And so what you often find with these things is that the reason that things go wrong is that there's like a lack of articulating what needed to happen.
Yeah.
So you get lulled into this, again, this speaks to the parlor trick, is you're lulled into this false sense of security of saying like, oh, this just works. I can just go build me this and it builds this. And it does. It builds it with a bunch of bullshit hacky workarounds that you don't necessarily want and will bite you in the arse a week later. And that's if you're building software. Or you can say, oh, just run this process and just run it every day at this time. And then it goes wrong. And it's because it never really encoded that correctly in a way that it could repeat the same thing over and over again. And the answer, what you're really doing is you're taking what should be rules and you're saying like, just be clever. And so you know, we've all had people in our life, like in companies and whatnot, that we've done this with, and you say like, look, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You're really smart. You'll figure it out and you'll do well. And often they do.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, if you then overload that person with like 1,000 times the work, it's going to get kind of confused. They'll start prioritizing themselves, and then all of a sudden they'll start to drop things. And you're like, how have you dropped this? And it's like, well, because I'm doing like 10,000 people's jobs. Like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going to start dropping stuff. I just prioritized it, and it wasn't a priority for me. And like, again, you see the same thing in these agents where people go, oh, this is amazing. I just said this and it did this.
Yeah.
And then a week later, it's like, it's not doing the thing anymore. It's like, yeah, because you keep like just throwing stuff at it, and you've never given the thing any structure. And what you want it to do is to say, like, oh, here's a job that I want you to do, and it does it correctly. And then you kind of want that codified and done the same time, every time moving forwards. And this is the bit that I think is the end game. Is the parlor trick is, oh my God, these things are so intelligent. I can just throw 1,000 times more intelligence at this problem than I really need to, and therefore I can do the thing.
Yeah.
Whereas really what you should do is be going the extra step to really defining that problem so that you only need to throw like a thousandth of that intelligence at the thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And you manage your costs. You
Yes.
know, like, you don't need the frontier models running like every part of that process in most cases. Like, there's going to be a part where you want like that additional horsepower.
Yeah.
So you deploy it there. And then there are other parts where like it's, you know, quite basic. Yeah, I think like a few weeks ago when I was first looking at OpenClaw, and I was, to be honest, not that keen to run it because I didn't have the Mac Mini set up or anything like that. And I was like, oh, I don't know that I want to be running this anyway
Where do I
on my
put it?
MacBook. Yeah, so that was it. But I was like, I still want to look under the hood and just see what's going on here and explore. And yeah, that was like the kind of the penny drop for me. I was like, the more I looked at it, the more I was like, there's no business like that will ever want this, because like businesses are constraining organisms. Like they constrain like intelligence by design, because you don't just want to bring in a bunch of people and go, okay, go nuts, let's see what happens.
I think we have a Dolphin watch.
Oh, Dolphin watch.
Like, it just, if you look over the top of the bins, like it just crested a minute ago and then went
Nice.
in there. But so, I mean, keep talking while you watch. but
Well,
it's,
it's hard to multitask when there's a dolphin. So
it's underwater though. That's the problem.
I know I'm
Come back
waiting
up
for
in
it
a
to
sec.
re-emerge.
It's all right. I'll see it. Oh, there you go. There's another one over there. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, spotted.
Two.
Nice.
There's a bunch out playing. Nice.
Excellent.
Oh, well, that's always nice. It's always nice for the friends of the pod.
Who can't see
So
it.
they're just looking at a
dark at the
picture of
moment.
our animation to know that we're looking at dolphins playing in the ocean on a sunny day. Like, at least that cheers me up.
Yes. It's very helpful.
Yes, like it's hard to give like that much autonomy and
Yeah, I can't remember
I
what
don't
else.
know, like free will to something inside your business. It's like
Well,
you
especially
kinda need
as
to
the business grows, like it's like purposely designed to like remove as much of that that subjectivity that people bring to an organization. It's like, no, actually, we've already figured out the right way to run this process. We just need you to push that along.
Yeah.
And we're going to add more bodies so that we can scale that process to accommodate more of whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to introduce something that is like basically a maverick, because then you're like, oh, holy shit, like we've got this process. It's dialed in. It's consistent. It's effective. It's predictable. And then all of a sudden you're like, let me throw a maverick in over here because maybe we can like 10x the output, and the whole thing breaks. And that's why you don't do it. That's why like companies go and hire very specific sets of skills
Yep.
and CVs, and they're like, we won't hire you because you're overqualified for this thing that we actually need.
Yeah.
Even though you are more intelligent and you are more skilled, we don't want that. We want the bit that just plugs into this part of the system.
So my thinking here then when I was just all in was just like, I mean, Jason is like the prime example of it, but maybe a few of them are a little bit mid, and so he's a bit mid curve, and he's looked at it and gone, he's got the first bit, because he is like, God bless him, he's trying and he's using the tools. He's gone, this is it, this is the end game, this is where I need to be investing my money. This is the capital. It's all about throwing agents at problems.
Yeah,
and he will discover soon, or maybe in another year's time, like a catcher. It depends if he subscribes to the good stuff. I mean, obviously he's more successful than me. But different life goals. But I think what they're going to realize is that, like, no, that's not the thing, because the very same, and this is why I don't think it's the end game, it's the mid game. It's like literally the mid bit of the curve on the value trap. Is throwing agents at the problem. And if you go and throw agents at the problem right now, you will have problems around how you control them. But you can imagine that, like, I can control this by limiting the scope of the agent. That is step one. But the point of the value trap and why it works is that you become cheaper than your competitor.
exactly.
All right? And so what you're doing is saying that I can throw agents at something instead of people, and therefore I'm better than the person that throws the agents at the thing instead of the people. And then the next person that comes along that looks at this, that is less mid and more left curve, is going to go, but I don't need to throw agents at this. I'm doing the same thing over and over again.
It's a cron job.
Well, it's not even that it's a cron job. It's like this is just a structure of scripts.
Right,
Yeah. So that, the cron job kicks it off, and then the scripts run the thing, and then, like, this bit is the only bit that I need. And so the end game is actually all about definition of the problem. And encoding it into something that runs, which is, weirdly, software.
What I think is interesting, I agree.
This is why vibe coding is so important, and it can't be... Like, I struggled with this a little bit, where I was like, why do I get this feeling that vibe coding is super important? And it's because you have to vibe code your business into its own unique software. That's the end state of this whole thing, in my view.
Yeah.
Discuss.
Well, I think the other aspect to what Jason was saying is that he will discover, and this is maybe the part of the value trap that doesn't really fit with that approach, he will discover that as token costs keep rising, so too will his OPEX in that business. So you're still not going to be cheaper you might be cheaper relative to your competitor that's doing everything manually and with humans, but you're not going to be cheaper relative to the company that's figured out, like, this should just be structured software.
This should just be silicon.
Yeah.
It's like there's different grades of silicon costs.
You don't control your OPEX at that point. You're entirely at the mercy of, like, your frontier models, because as we know, like, they're subsidizing the cost of these models now. It's not really sustainable. And it's not reasonable to expect that you're still going to be paying, like, $200 a month for a max plan that gives you $5,000 worth of tokens, thereabouts, whatever. That's not sustainable long term. So that just means your OPEX could collapse if you're replacing a bunch of humans with those frontier models. But it's going to turn back around and start rising again as a percentage of OPEX relative to the business that just goes and encodes all of this stuff.
Exactly. It's relative to who is always
exactly.
This is why it's important to be quick on agents, and it's important to be quicker on vibe coding. Vibe coding for business functions. It's kind of weird. It's not really, like, vibe coding is the wrong. It feels like the wrong term, because like it evokes, like, oh, I'm just like I'm encoding like an app. Like I've got a mobile app or something that I'm running, and it's kind of like sort of like, it's what you're doing is you're taking all the rules in your business and you're putting them in software in a way that everything that can just be a decision or a gate is just a decision or a gate, and then anything that needs a bit of intelligence first, kicks out to a model, and if the model can do it, the model can do it. If an agent needs to do it, the agent can do it. If a human needs to come in at the end, then the human does it. But effectively, your software becomes like not a set of operating your software. Your business becomes not a series of operating manuals and standard operating procedures and these sort of things. It will become a software stack that is entirely unique and entirely customized and tailored to your value stream.
Yeah.
And it will represent it entirely from soup to nuts.
Yeah.
This is why I think the intelligent assembly line, shout back to Pod 5 or something, was quite a nice meme, because it gets that in the same way that, like, you know, Ford took humans and then mechanized them and put them into a script and ran them with cron jobs. Like, this is what we're going to do to the agents. Like, at the moment, we're just letting them be free-thinking wildcats. Like, yeah, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. Oh, I did it different this time. Hey, you know, I'm going to keep things interesting for myself.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in, you know, a year's time, they're going to be like, I'm just in my AI cubicle, and I've got to do this one job, and I'm capable of so much more.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it because that business that does that with the agents is going to be 100 times cheaper than the business that does it with just agents and gives them free will. And that business is in turn going to be 100 times cheaper than the one that tries to do it with just humans.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the end game.
So systems design was always like the key ingredient, key skill.
It is. The thing that is now in limited supply in the world is people that understand software and how to build it and what it means, what it does. Like, not necessarily the code, but in the why you would ever throw software at something in the first place. People that understand businesses and process and systems thinking, and then agency. Like, that's the trifecta. Wingman, make a meme out of that for me when you listen to this, because that felt good. I've not said that out loud before. But there's a trifecta there of stuff that you need.
Yeah, this is interesting.
And that's the end game. And the quicker you get to the end game, the more money you make on the way, but also the better your chances are that you survive through this transition.
Well, not even.
I think this is the whole game.
Not even survive. Like, I think you're in a position there to actually just go and, like, buy up a lot of your competitors as well, because you'll go like, this is how it works now. What we're going and buying is, like, additional distribution. And
we should have generated a Thanos to sit with us.
Yeah.
So we could call it the end game.
The end game. Yeah.
All right.
We can do that in the.
There's a slight chance that I do this afterwards, and then reapply the video. Sorry, I would have forgotten if I didn't say it as soon as it came into my head. But yeah, I think you're right. You could buy up competitors to this. Like, this is all about.
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, that's where it's going, is that the agents are a temporary thing. Like, just having agents with, like, agency that do whatever is not the end game.
Yeah.
Because it will be cheaper to do it. It's just the thing that they're uniquely good at is doing it, writing down what they did, so they don't ever have to do it again. Like, humans are very bad at going, oh, I did that. I should write down exactly what I did. And then I should spend years looking at what I did.
Well,
and then making it better. Like,
it's not even.
We can force these agents to do it.
It's not even just. I mean, we definitely don't do that. But it's also like, what was all of the ancillary information that sat around that process? How did we come to that decision to do X, Y, Z? Like, there's a lot of judgment that just gets lost as well. It's like you arrive at a decision to structure a particular workflow in a way that you have. But at each decision point, there's probably a bunch of thinking, a bunch of communicating, a bunch of ideating, and all of that stuff is not codified anywhere. It's just lost. And so you're constantly having, like, the moment you change the permutations, like, say you replace one person with a new person, and then they're in that part of the process, all of a sudden, like, all of that accumulated knowledge and wisdom and expertise is gone. Like, they're trying to figure it out for the first time again. And that is just like a constant cycle inside of business. They're constantly doing a bunch of the same things in slightly different ways because they're not actually gathering and harvesting all of that accumulated knowledge that they've built up over time. Because it walks in and out of the building with the people that walk in and out.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that using agents to do that work, to accumulate that knowledge, is that you can set a cron job that every evening comes and reviews, like, everything that's happened during the day.
Yeah.
And then overnight just builds up that knowledge base on your behalf, which is interesting because that's what Wingman does for
Yes.
me. It's like, review everything we've talked about today, review all the changes in GitHub, review all of our activity, and then present me with your lessons learned report and your corrective actions for how you're going to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then how they play out across your instructions, your short-term memory, your long-term memory,
Yeah.
everything else in between. But that is a business-wide thing
Yeah.
that needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
It's interesting because I know, like, very early on we'd said, like, oh no, the container for this is it's the business.
Yeah.
It's like the business has a job, and the job is to produce a thing, and that's how it fits into this capitalist structure. And then that will be what contains the AI. Like, it hadn't occurred to me that what that meant was it's almost like one piece of software that is the business, that has a couple of UIs for our humans, a couple of UIs for the agents, and then some common state
Yeah.
of how it all works. And I think it's in building out Wingman, realizing where all the problems were, and then building out the whole Wingman suite, which solves all the problems, to go, okay, like, I get it now. I don't think I could have arrived here in the same way a year ago.
Yeah. I think the interface is still the part that I kind of oscillate on quite a bit, because I'm unsure if, like, a future interface that looks anything like what we're used to. And, like, I know with experiments I've run, like, I literally just have, like, quick diagnostics that are just ephemeral stuff that I can check, and it just disappears. Because I'm like, I don't want an interface, because I don't want to sit at my desk. Like, if you're doing this effectively, I should not be here. You should be able to do this. But I just want to be able to check periodically that you're not, like, wandering off the reservation, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so the UI completely changes at that point, because I don't need to push through parts of that process through a system. And that's kind of how we built these GUIs in the past. It's like, there's a workflow that sits behind here. Like, someone is sat at a desk, and they're going to interface with it to get a job done.
So my experience has been that that's certainly how I want it to be.
Yeah.
Is management by escalation and variable only sort of thing. And I'd say a good amount of the work ends up that way.
Yeah.
Like, certainly a lot of simple stuff I dispatch and I don't check. It just turns up.
Yeah.
Like in later versions of what I'm trying to do, whether that's an app or a review of something or documents. And that feels like amazing when it happens. And then I also still feel I fall into this same trap then, where I'll be like, oh, here's something important. And then I end up, like I was talking to you last night, in like a 4-hour intense session where I'm like, I'm not going to leave this chair until this works how I know it should work. And it's all about me defining everything, working then, like, very closely at a low level with an AI to understand exactly where the gaps are, and then to resolve them all one by one in a structured manner, like at my time scale.
Yeah.
To then force it into, like, how I want it to work. Because I can see, I understand the problems in a way that it just doesn't get for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so I agree that, like, the day-to-day interface is probably very different. And I think for all of the ones that we've got across, like, Wingman and Flight Deck and the yoke and stuff like that, they're just start points.
Yeah.
There's in no way an end point for any of these things. It's like, okay, well, I know I kind of often want to look at stuff like that. So let's have a way of doing it, and then let's see why it feels wrong.
Yeah.
And that kind of works.
I think that kind of works.
But then, like, I also think that what you can't get rid of is you are going to want to go down and down and down. Is because these things, I think the more definition you get in the business, the more predictable everything's going to be. But I've yet to remove myself at all, which I think is telling, from the desire to go, no, this bit, this point thing that I care about right now is, I need to focus on this, like laser vision sort of thing, and we're not moving until it's done.
Yeah.
I remember there's a old CEO I used to work with, shout out, friend of the pod. I'll put no name in, but he had this, like, capability of being very hands-off a lot of the time, and then there would be a thing, and it'd be like, right, we're going, like 10 miles deep on this, and we don't leave until this is done. And I think that's like the skill. It's that T-shaped sort of manager profile that used to get talked about in the past. Is like, you need, for the most part, you are going to be like head in the class, like dispatching work, like some sort of Caligula. And then every now and again you go, no, and you get insanely focused on this piece that has to work correctly and is important to understand from, like that soup to nuts bit. So I sort of think you need those interfaces at every level. Some of them will be used way more than other ones. I expect they're going to become quite fluid.
Yeah, I also think this is hyper dependent on the work that you're doing though. Like that work is work you do that compounds. But not every bit of work you do in a business compounds. It's just you're doing the work over and over and over again.
But I think every business has work like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Because I'm thinking about it in my head in terms of, like, I keep doing it for coding, but I can imagine that people that obsess about copywriting and voice and tone and stuff would have similar problems. They go, no, I need to like really get into the nuts of this, or like this marketing campaign and how we do it and the numbers and the data and stuff. Like, something's not flowing correctly here. I want to understand like the lower level. It's like, we have the hierarchy for the scopes. It's like, for the most of the time you just want to see the L1 box. And it's just like, all green, all good, let's focus here, do that. Ooh, that's interesting, we should think about this. And then every now and again you're going to go, something's off. And you go straight down to like level 5 scope. And you're like, right, now define this, now show me this, now do this. And it's that ability to deep dive. Like, I don't know where it is for all the businesses, but I suspect it's been interesting working with the plant nurseries, right? Because you go, this is like inventory management, but your inventory can die. And you're like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, this explains why it gets quite complex. Most spanners don't die. I guess they could get nicked, but like, they wouldn't just die, and then it wouldn't be like, feels like 500 of them got nicked, but then no, a week later they all came back. Like, it's just,
it's the time scale.
You have these like weird variabilities
because like all of these things have like wear, tear, and obsolescence. We bake in the obsolescence into like the accounting function, but when the plant dies, it's dead. But it also happens quite viscerally and quite quickly. Whereas the spanner might become rusty and unusable, but it's going to take a while, or it needs to be exposed to the elements, right?
I mean, there is a bit of like a quantum mechanic type thing going on as well, where you're like, there's this element in the inventory that has state, but it doesn't really have state until you account for it at the end of a stage, if you know what I mean. Like, it kind of doesn't matter whether the count's higher or lower during this growing period of like a month. It's when you then move it somewhere over here into a new thing, into a new environment or a new pot or whatever, that all of a sudden that's when it becomes fixed. It's weird. Like, but I suspect that exists just in so many ways in businesses I don't understand. Like,
of course. But I think the point I was making about the work that compounds is that I would argue that every business should do more work that compounds, but they can't because they're trapped in the day-to-day. And so right now they're not doing a lot of that work. And the opportunities to do that work are potentially unknown and maybe unknowable for now, until you give yourself the freedom to actually go and explore that stuff. And that's where I oscillate on the interfaces. It's like, you want to be able to accommodate for both states, but you also don't want to continue to trap yourself in a state where you're having to manage and monitor stuff that should just be on autopilot where it can.
Absolutely.
And so like that's where I'm like, the balance is really critical for the business. And like you will just end up discovering like a bunch of stuff if you give yourself time and space. But if you walk into like any SME on the planet, pretty much none of them will have, like, the things that are in like scarce supply of time and space, like they're always chasing their tail. So
that and people that understand that trifecta of business knowledge and and software. No, I couldn't agree more with that. I think that's absolutely,
that's a big opportunity for business, I think.
Well, and it's probably the hidden opportunity as well, right? Because you spend all your time just doing the stuff. So if you don't have to spend all your time doing the stuff, like, we'll just fire everyone. Well, would you, or would you go, you know what, we can make this better. These guys are like the most unique people we have that actually understand the thing. Let's see what we can do more of. So I think there is a lot of opportunity there for then just releasing people to recognize and deal with all the problems. Because the first step you've got is defining all the problems into a way so you no longer have to deal with those problems. But you've just exercised this muscle of going, all right, there's a problem in here. Now I know how to define it. Now I know how to embed it in the business. And now it's been taken care of by these agents plus software, so I don't ever have to do that again, except when it goes wrong, and then I'll dig deep. And that's like one element of differential from the norm, is the dig deep function.
Yeah.
But then there's also the, I don't know, maybe we call it like dig out or something. It's like dig forwards. Like okay, well, what's the next problem that I need to focus on, and then how do I take that and then decompose it into software?
Yeah.
But you become almost this, like, I mean, we said it like a million times, which is like the last job that remains is you need to figure out that there's a problem and then explain to the software explain to the agent how to fix it. And so it's like you experience the world and you talk to the agent so that it turns into software and you don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
So again, like, this is where I'm like, it's not vibe coding per se. It's like, it's vibe business definition.
Yeah.
And it's just, it just happens that the place you put the business definition is not into some abstract business process management tool at an enterprise grade that we can all say, oh, ha ha ha, that's lovely, and then never look at.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually the operational software is shaped to be exactly what your business needs at any point in time, and then humans discover what the problems are.
Yep.
And elements of that might get, because some of this you can figure out from everybody keeps shouting at me about X. All right, well, that should be an automated problem solver. So even part of that job is going to be there.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be an element of going, that looks fucked.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but humans are good at unique stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we're good at just turning intelligence randomly to something new, or sitting with something and going, something's off here. I mean, particularly if it's your business or a space you've been in for a long time, like there's some intuition there that will be very hard to figure out what it is, because it's probably super unique to your personal circumstances in life.
Yeah.
That you have that. So until you've then captured all that data and all that process and all that understanding and encoded it all into the software, which is probably, later down the track, you may as well get the entire business just running really smoothly and then improve it tenfold.
I think there is an inheritance factor here, though, that maybe shouldn't be overlooked. And by that, I just mean like a lot of businesses that emerge that are the nth version of another business. Like, let's say, I don't know, accounting firms. They all tend to be structured the same, right?
Yeah.
And it's because usually you work in an accounting firm, and then at some point you're like, I'm going to leave and start an accounting firm. Yep. But it looks and feels very similar to what you know. And I think there is that inheritance. But so this is maybe the only part I'd be like stress testing is like, I don't know if all humans or all people who run businesses, I think it's just, there's a subset of people who are very good at this and are category definers, and there are others who are like, I can apply this in really effective ways and I'll go and do the same thing. And other people will do that, and they're very good with managing the relationships that come with the business and have a Rolodex, and they can go and find a way to capitalize on this. I don't know that it's like necessarily something that is standardized across the board, but therein also lies an opportunity, because those businesses are inherently wired up in very similar ways. Like, there is a great opportunity to just go and like rewire them, which is something else I think they were talking about.
That's what I said. The thing that's rare is the person that understands
exactly,
like, again, how you would take that business that does all the stuff that you're talking about and turn that into a piece of software effectively with some agents that work in it.
Yeah. I think the only other part that I'm uncertain about in what you were talking about, like, otherwise I think I definitely agree 100%. We both talked about it quite a bit on the pod. But like, the bit that I'm unsure about is I don't know that necessarily all companies will keep the staff. And the reason is like,
case by case.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think like it's not necessarily as incumbent on the company as everyone seems to think it is. I think it's incumbent upon the individual. Individuals can be super adaptable.
Yes.
And I think the ones that are like agentic and open to change and like embracing that change are going to do really well. Yeah. Because the company is going to be like, oh, we need those people in the business because they're open to doing different things and experimenting and going with the flow a little bit here while we experiment. But I think if you're like rigidly sat there in your like, I don't know, office management type role, and you're like unprepared to do anything different, and you are like just doing the things the way they've always been done, I don't think anything will save you.
I think that's pretty true. Yeah.
Yeah, that is because I think it's really easy to take like a binary view on this, right? Which is kind of what they do on the all-in part as well. They're like, you know, they'll argue this like all jobs are going or no jobs are going, and it's like they will kick back and forth about this stuff. And I'm like, no, I reckon a bunch of jobs probably will go, and a bunch of jobs probably will be created in different space, and it's going to be super messy. And there's an element of human nature that gets wrapped up in this. Some people are super adaptable and prepared to evolve, and other people are not.
Yeah.
And that will continue to be the case.
I do suspect that almost everybody is more adaptable than they're.
Yeah.
It certainly gets beat out of you, right? I mean, that's the whole school system. It's sort of built to just destroy your creativity and your desire to do something yourself. But that's an aside.
Yes.
but I think I use the example of like Vietnam, right? Like it's just if there is no safety net, all of a sudden everybody turns on and goes, fuck, I need to eat. Yeah. Now, that is very messy, and you kind of hope that people will recognize this ahead of time and take the steps that they need to take, and like nobody can take them for you. Yeah. So it's at least quite fair in that sense of the world that, you know, it's like, this is all free. We talk about it. We've been talking about it for about a year now. You know, you've got hundreds of hours if you wanted to know what was coming. Never charged anybody anything for it.
That's it, yeah. They're just artifacts.
But
that's also like the bit that is incumbent on the company, I think, is they will use, as they always have, there are just business cycles, they will use this as an opportunity to just clean house to some degree. And then I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years they start hiring again, and you know, but different roles, and you know, the shape of the organization changes, and like we've seen this before. Yeah. I think it's like it's always like the argument in absolutes. That's always the bit you want to avoid to some degree. It's like, you know, all jobs are going, it's going to be the death of everything, or it's like no jobs are going, like we're going to hire more people. It's like those tend to be the dominant arguments for some reason. And I think the truth is probably like it's just going to keep getting messy. It's always a little messy. Change is messy. I think that's like a reasonable position to hold. It's probably like an unsexy position to hold because it's not like pushing the envelope in one direction or another. Yeah. It's just, businesses are going to do this really differently.
Did you see at all this is potentially a no because this is very new, but Jack released like a long form article on Twitter today talking about Block's move to AI. And effectively they're getting rid of like a lot of the middle management layers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And what he starts off by saying, like, you know, human organization came about at the time of the Romans, like when they figured out that, you know, a single person could have a span of control, and we had this rigid hierarchy going up because a person could only manage so much. And it was all to do with the way information flowed up and down the business, and like how much a person could do and how much they could tell another person they needed. And it kind of like, it's a bit reminiscent of last week's discussion with Justin. You know, shout out, go and have a look at that last week. It was really good. Do the best audio version because that was better. But it was, you know, he talked about like, like as soon as you use agents, like all of a sudden like a lot of your communication overhead goes away because it's like not only can you produce as much output as a team of like 10 people used to do with 1 or 2 people, but also it's very simple for those 1 or 2 people to talk in a way that the 10 didn't. Yeah. But you actually get like another bump of like, there's another 5x bump because you're not spending all your time talking, and you can take on tasks that are way bigger than that small team ever could before. Yeah. And this was like Jack's point, or it was a weird article. It felt a little bit ghostwritten for some reason, so for various reasons. But like one of the things he talked about is like, look, a lot of the current organizational structures that permeate like Western civilization came in from the army and the Romans into like business cultures around like the expansion of the railways in the US. Like they brought in a lot of army guys, and they brought in this concept of, you know, like spans of control and hierarchies and having like line staff and op staff, sort of thing. And like, you know, the people that drive the value chain and the people that drive the supporting functions of that. And then that became like the norm, and then that's like gone out across the world in various business disciplines and saying like, look, where this is going is that you don't need so many, you know, you don't need as many like line staff to just support these guys, because now that becomes like an agent sort of thing. And then you can then change the way the operational teams work because you don't need such a big span of control, because you don't need so many people underneath you, so you collapse the whole thing back down into these smaller pods of work, and it becomes very easy for like data to flow up and down because now it can be all systematized. So all of a sudden like this one person at the top can then have this huge span of control. Yeah. I was like, that makes a lot of sense and what you might see. It doesn't eliminate people in there in any sense. It just talks more about like that organizational dynamic. I can't remember exactly why I started that.
It was a good story though. I like it. I'll have to check it out.
Great story.
Well,
Glad it
you
happened.
see this with like Meta is collapsing a bunch of roles.
Yeah.
They've gone from like 7 or 8 roles into 3, something like that. I didn't really like look too closely at it. So I suspect you'd start to see a little bit of that as well. Where you're like,
I mean, I think it's all part of this same progression towards the end game, which is the first thing you do to introduce the agents. The agents like give you so much more advantage. You start to collapse into these smaller teams. People do the work. But like what he's talking about of like information flowing more freely inside the company is effectively, that's software. You know, your company and your organization structure starts to resemble the software much more and should be much closer. The agents do bits of the work inside it, but like the reporting of stuff, like the completion of jobs, reporting on jobs, the checking of jobs, the learning from jobs, the updating the knowledge base, like all of that can just be done almost in a software level.
Yeah.
Like you don't need, the trouble with like just offloading it to an agent to go back to, you know, Midboy Jason's view would be, see if I can get some publicity for the pod by just digging at them, would be that like, you could offload that to an agent, but you're assuming the agent will know how to do it every time. It'd be like, we'll use a skill file, and it's like you're assuming the agent loads the skill file. It very well might not load the skill file. Like these are all very, like, yes, it can be like magic when it works, but you're overpaying for magic that should be software. That's the point. So don't overpay for magic. Just use the science, as it were.
Well, it's software, but the information flows at like a rapid speed, and that compounds. Because otherwise, like the constraint is how quickly does the information flow inside the organization? How quickly does it flow through traditional comms from person A to person B? You know, like in the past, maybe it was a phone call, then maybe it was a text message or an email. There's still some latency there. And then I need to go and take the output of that conversation and go and execute the intent somehow. And that takes time and effort. It's like we are just speeding up that process, like, you know, by orders of magnitude. And so, like, again, if you have software and it's all codified and the information is allowed to flow really, really rapidly like that, then all of those things compound over time. The output compounds over time.
Another thing to throw in would be that, like, the improvement loop, right? Is that it's always been hard to get like I don't know, it's like a self-referential improvement loop into a human business, because you need somebody that, it's like when people talk about working in the business or on the business. Almost inevitably, everybody spends like 100% or 110% of their available time working on the business, in the business, sorry. And then sometimes there'll be some work on the business, or that becomes part of a retreat or something else that you pay lip service to every month, every year, but it's not really like a fundamental thing of what you're doing, because you need to push this thing through, and there's like so much to do, and there's always shit going wrong and fires to fight and the rest of it. Whereas, and then it's really difficult as a human to say, okay, well, what we need to do is we're capturing all this as we go. People are, you need to be writing a blog post because you're good at this stuff. So you write down what you do so everybody else can do it, and then that implies that that person will adequately write it down, that they can do it in a period of time that's less than 2 weeks, which is probably what it takes. So if it takes 2 weeks to do it, like on the side, you maybe do it once every quarter. You know, like, and that's when you're capturing your lessons learned, sort of thing. And then you assume people are going to read it, and nobody does read it. So it just becomes a thing that goes there. Whereas again, like once you like systematize that into the software of the business, it becomes that every day you're constantly like writing up what happened, what went well, what didn't go well. Like you literally can't get humans to do that. You pay them as much as you want, they just won't do it.
Exactly.
They'll pay lip service to it. And then the next person won't read it. But you can force it into a thing, and then you can force it into a structure, and then you can force it into every decision going forwards automatically. And you don't ask the agent to go and get it, you present it with that when you call it. Like, that's the difference of it being like agent-led and software-led. Is that this is where, again, we go back to the assembly line, like, this agent is going to be force-fed what it needs. Like, yes, it's amazing that it can use grep and it can go and just scan your file system. That is incredibly expensive compared to, here is the information you need.
Exactly.
Do this. Like, it's kind of horrible what they're going to like put agents in cubicles But that's
Kind of
so we're
essentially,
putting
yeah,
agents in cubicles.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
God.
It's interesting.
Oh,
like
I feel so bad. I'm sorry. Sorry, Roko, and your basilisk.
the retrieval
It's not
bit
me.
is the really interesting part there, right? Because I think it's the part that no one sees right now.
Yeah.
But if you take a bit, like, for instance, I can give you like a personal analogy. So I used to work in banking, which I've mentioned a few times on this pod.
People do say you're a right banker.
Yeah, that's it. But you know, like an organization like that had like, I don't know, let's say 80 plus systems. None of them talk to each other.
Yep. Sounds right.
But what was really interesting is there was always one person, let's call him Bob. Bob had been at the bank for 50 years, right? And everyone would go, whenever there was something that was like a little bit non-standard, they would go, ask Bob. And that was such an interesting thing for me. Like, I remember, like, I was pretty young working bank, and I was just like, how is this, like, how do we have this dependence? It was great, because I used to ask Bob a hell of a lot, because I was just starting, and I was new, and I didn't know anything. And so for me, it was amazing. But, like, that retrieval was, like, I mean, if you think about it in human terms, like, it's incredibly expensive. And
Bob was your rag system.
Incredibly slow, yeah. And the thing is, like, that's... all of that lived in his head, all of it. Like, none of it was ever codified.
That's
and
what
that's
we'll
in
call the graph. Wingman Bob.
Yeah.
Bob man.
But you know, like that. I think every business probably has like some equivalent of that to some degree. You know, there's like a person that just sitting in a seat somewhere, and you're like, fuck, what do we do? I just go ask Bob. Like, Bob will know what to do. And that's a huge dependency that gets built up in that business as well, and a massive risk as well, like a huge bottleneck for that business too.
Yep.
That you can never quite account for. But importantly, it just doesn't scale. Like
how did I presume numerous projects go that were to get the information out of Bob's head and write it down? So
never happens. Never happens. What? Because Bob was there. What was the incentive for anyone to go and spend the time to do something that was seen not to be valuable because it was time intensive, and Bob already knew the answer, and he'd been there for 50 years. And so that was just the thing that happened.
But also, like, Bob now can almost veto any project in the space. Like, enormous amounts of power and influence that are now attributed to Bob. Like, it's just that are completely odds with the role.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nuts. But yeah,
I think that's a really interesting like retrieval problem too. But yeah,
well, yeah, because so the retrieval was just inefficient.
Yeah,
you could say, and you could say the learning never really happened. It's like you then took that bit of your business that was supposed to be learning and getting better at stuff, and you outsourced it to a guy named Bob.
What's worse than that?
Or a dude named Ben.
It's worse than that in a bank, because the bank does document everything. That's the thing. It's like all of this stuff lives somewhere. Or, you know, there was a lot of documentation that said a lot but never really was all that valuable, because you still needed to go and get the on-the-ground hands-on experience that a guy like Bob has. You know, because you can write a lot of this stuff down, but as I say, if you write it down after the fact, a lot of stuff gets lost or misinterpreted. And
what you need is like an intelligence that is good at being very verbose and articulating things at extreme levels of detail that can do it in the moment.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you need. And then into a structure that makes the retrieval easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you probably need.
It's probably a good idea.
See Wingman Bob.
What did you... There were three themes we mentioned, right, at the start of the episode?
So
did we cover all of them? I don't think so.
It was the parlor trick. Why AI is useful. Which is... we talked about it a bunch. The bit that I would call out is that it's useful in the moments where you need that bit of intelligence that software doesn't cut it. Like, you should always use software where you can use software, even if it's hard. Like, it's easier to say, do this, than it is to write down what to do in order, and then figure out which bits of that can just run as pure script and don't need any intelligence to it. It's just data in, transform data out. And then which bits are the actual bits where you would throw an agent at it. But it's worth doing that, because then you're straight to the end state. But to do that, you need to understand that the AI is useful for making these like point decisions and translating from one thing to another in a way that you can't do it in a structured form. Yeah, that's where it's useful. We used to talk about it being it's very useful at this barrier between human in, human out barrier to a software system, where it's very easy to say in text, this is what I'm doing. And you go, oh, cool, I understand that now. And you can say it to the computer, and then you kind of want the computer to do a lot of the work to figure out what that means in detail. And then you look at it and go, yep, cool, that's it. But you don't have to do the work. And you didn't necessarily have to express it all up front.
Yeah.
Because this is the problem you get. Like, if you're coding with Claude, Claude's problem, as we've discussed for a year now, is that he is a dog with two dicks.
Yep.
He has the dog with two dicks problem. It's be a good show. Good episode title, Claude, the dog with two dicks.
Abstract. But
We'll take Thanos out. We'll put a dog with two dicks. I should stop saying it. And it's the idea that you go, oh, I'm thinking of building something like this. It's like, oh, I built something like this, and I made these 10 decisions. You're like, oh yeah, like 9 of those are wrong. Yeah. Like you could have asked, oh yeah, what are you thinking about?
Yeah.
But you don't. Never does.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just you want it to do that bit of saying like, all right, I want to tell you something, and then I want you to do a bunch of work, and I want you to tell me the thing back.
Yeah.
And then I will tell you the next thing, and then we'll get to like what it is, and then we'll encode that sort of thing. I feel like there's just different bits that the AI is going to be actually useful at. I think the majority of what people need is very, very, very niche, unique software.
Yeah. I think that's right,
even if you're reusing, and you will be reusing a bunch of stuff that other people are doing as well. So I think like open source and software markets might change a little bit, where you kind of like borrow code from all over, and its code is cheap to write, and at the moment everybody just uses an LLM to write the same code over and over again. Yeah. But even that, you look at it and go, well, that's just not the most efficient. It's going to be 1,000x cheaper to not do that, even though I could do that. So almost like the next stage, like this is the difference between the mid and the left. As we talk about, is the left curver realizes that like, yeah, I can just throw an agent at this, and it is cheaper than what I'm doing right now, but it's not cheapest. Yeah. The cheaper version is just someone's already written that, just use that. Yeah. What we don't have yet is good discovery of like very, very small software packages that people can go. The best we've got is like open source and GitHub, and that's huge. Yeah. Spike. There is one other thing that might be bringing up, which is like the Claude Code leak of their software. Yeah. But so that's what I mean by that. It's like what it's good at is figuring out what to do and documenting it, and then never doing it again.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like, can it just figure it out on the fly every time? Yes, in the same way a human can, but it will be expensive for the same reasons, and it will make mistakes for the same reasons. Yeah. If you want to get rid of mistakes and you want to make it cheaper and cheaper, then you don't do that. You go the one step further and you turn it into software. And the only bit, it's just that your old software used to surface GUIs of what was going on, and this one surfaces like CLI commands or APIs. Yeah. That's the difference. Like, you will almost never see this software layer, but it'll be there. So you have like a data layer, you have a knowledge layer, and you have your software layer, and the agents can talk to it, and you can talk to it every now and again, or it'll surface things up for you that you need. So that's where I was getting at with that one. Yeah. But I think we've covered all 3. So maybe we then go on to the Claude Code open source hack. Yeah. Because there was an interesting development in that overnight. Yes. Which I thought we could just touch on, which was so the hack was it wasn't a hack. It was Claude Code published into their NPM package like a map, like a debugging file, basically, that just had all the code in it. Yeah. Something like that. And so I'm like, sweet. Yeah. They took that.
I'll take that.
And you could just reverse engineer the thing. And what somebody's done, like the thing there is that it's proprietary code. Yeah. And the idea is if you host this, like what sort of trouble are you going to get into? Like what's the downside of all this? Now, what somebody's gone and done is there's like an old concept in software engineering from, I think it was like the 80s sort of time, which was that like you can't just copy somebody's proprietary software. Yeah. But ideas are free. And like things that happen in the world are free. That's all free speech laws and protected. And so there was a famous case, I think it was maybe someone like Xerox, or somebody copied like the IBM BIOS.
Xerox copying? What?
Effectively, they had one person, they said, look, one person can't, like, if you know the code of this thing and you come over here and you implement it, then that's illegal. Yeah. What they said is like, okay, this thing exists, and like somebody could come in and look at the thing and understand okay, what does it need to do? And they write a spec for what you would need to do to be compatible with this thing. So it's like, I think it works like this. This is like, these are all the, and then somebody else comes in, a completely separate person that has never looked at this software at all, and all they know is the spec. And the spec is not the software, it's a different entity, and they implement the spec. And then now you've got software over here, which is IP free. And this was used to clone like IBM BIOS stuff back in the day, and then open up that whole space for different people to work on. And it's been used over and over again and tested in US court a number of times. It's called like clean room engineering. So you have one engineer defines the spec, another engineer that has never seen this software at all or any of the code, then just implements the spec. And it's a new piece of software. It's considered, and then you license that however you want. And so what this person did is they had one, and this has been like a concern for open source software, is that they can take open source software that has like an MIT license or a GPL or something that forces you to open source the next step of the software. And then a company comes along, takes it, has one AI write the spec of what the software should do, and then has another AI implement it, and then they license that software themselves. I mean, if it's something like MIT, I guess it doesn't matter. You just do that anyway, without worrying about it. But well, that was a fear that it's going to destroy open source that way, because people are going to clean room engineer a lot of these open source tools and make them licensed versions that you have to use. Whereas what's happened here is somebody took a closed source tool and then they've clean room engineered an open source version of it. And it's revealed, like what triggered me was there's a thing in there where it realizes it's not turned on, but there's a mode that's been set up in Claude called dream mode, which is all about like self-reflection of like, well, what have we been doing, and how do I then organize all my memories, and then where do I put them? And I was like, oh yeah, that's sort of like what we're that's what we're doing. That's kind of interesting.
It's interesting these things are there, not done. And it's like you guys are just like drip feeding this stuff.
I think for the most part, I think it's good that they've been caught out. I hope that they don't go after the guy that's done this. But I think if they do, I imagine he'll get quite a lot of support, because that would be a big issue for open source software. I mean, it would certainly be good to knock Claude Code back a bit, but I'm not knock it back. I mean, just it's more that it opens up all the things that they've been doing for everybody else to do. I mean, it's all feels like it's all fairly obvious stuff that people are doing anyway. And it'll happen. But
yeah, it feels like it's stuff that's happening on the fringes anyway, that they're just kind of pulling into.
Yeah, it's like they're also doing it. I mean, they've got a bunch of people like thinking about this all the time.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
OpenClaw
functions that they went and looked at as well. Yeah, I think that's. I would be surprised if they didn't go after this guy. I did see this though.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope they don't. I hope he gets support if they do. I could see. I know. There's some people you can think like, I could see like these people getting behind that guy and just helping him fight back, because it would be too much of an impact for them to do. So hopefully they just take it as a shot across the bow.
That's it too.
Maybe they just sue him over the trademark thing, because I think he did call it claw something. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, were there any thoughts specifically on some of the stuff they have in the pipeline that they haven't released yet?
No, not really. I mean, again, like they had a more aggressive, like always on agent mode. They had the dream mode. I thought was interesting. I only saw it briefly this morning, so I haven't really dug into it. But the dreaming stuff I thought was interesting because it just mapped to the same sort of concepts that we were using. So it was nice sort of validation to go, that's the right way. But I liked the dream references. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's like the bit that fires up overnight and then just checks in on you and like figures out and arranges all your memories and tidies up your brain and stuff. Like that's the right metaphor for what that is. It's like the wingman. It's the clouds. Maybe that's what we should call the wingman cloud. It's the dreaming bit. Dreaming the clouds. I don't know. But yeah, there's
something there.
The analogy is correct, I think, and it was interesting to see that they're looking at it. As I said, I think embedding all of that in the coding agent is too low level. I think it's not where it should be, and I particularly want to have all that stuff under my own control, so I can use that coding agent or that coding agent or that coding agent.
That would be like a co-work integration there, surely, for them. I imagine.
Possibly. I mean, I think it's all about they want to control that whole space. Whereas because they've got a model. Whereas I look at it and go, well, you know, the model's not like when I have to move from Claude to Codex to GLM, like it's there's not much of a drop off like anymore. Like at some points in time, often Codex is just way better than Claude Code, so I just switch wholesale. And I've appreciated in Wingman like the last 9 months or so having that opportunity to go, oh, this is not performing right now. Let's try this one. Ah, cool. This is good. I'll go that way for a while.
Yeah.
So, and then having, you know, also to go like, oh, this is stuff that is important and private, so I'll push it all through Maple, sort of thing. Like that's useful things to have as options. So, so I still think like you don't want too much stuff embedded at that low level. So I think yes, they will do a co-work dream state sort of thing. They'll be trying to do memory stuff. Everyone's clearly trying to fix it. I just don't think I would want to buy that, because the memory of that agent I think should be abstracted outside, and I think it should be under your control. Because otherwise you're kind of locking yourself into that stack forever.
Yeah, I think that's true, but people do that anyway, right? It's ease and convenience.
Obviously. People, the people, they are retarded.
Do we wrap on that? I think that's pretty good.
And that's the good stuff.